He noticed her the moment she walked into the coffee shop. Simple clothes, a warm smile. Nothing about her seemed unusual. She asked if she could sit at his table, because every other seat was taken. He said yes, never imagining that the woman smiling politely in front of him was the daughter of the most dangerous man in the entire city. By the time he found out the truth, it was already too late to walk away. Stay till the end, because this story is about to get very dangerous. The small coffee shop on the corner of 5th Street was unusually busy that afternoon. Every table filled with students studying, business people typing on laptops, and friends chatting over warm drinks. Ryan Cooper sat alone near the window, sketching quietly in his notebook, enjoying his weekly break from the stress of his small architecture firm. Ryan was an ordinary man living an ordinary life. He worked hard, paid his bills on time, and spent his weekends designing buildings he hoped to one day construct himself. He had no connections to danger, no involvement in anything beyond his simple, honest career. That was exactly how he liked it. As he sketched, a soft voice interrupted his concentration. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Ryan looked up to see a young woman standing beside his table, holding a cup of coffee, gesturing politely toward the empty chair across from him. She had warm brown eyes and an easy, friendly smile that immediately put him at ease. "No, go ahead," Ryan said, quickly moving his notebook aside to make room. "Thank you," she said, sitting down gracefully. "Every other table seems to be taken today." "It's been like this all week," Ryan replied, closing his notebook politely. "I think everyone discovered this place has the best coffee in the neighborhood." She laughed softly, a genuine, pleasant sound. "I'm Sophia, by the way." "Ryan," he said, offering a friendly smile in return. What started as a simple, polite conversation between strangers quickly turned into something more comfortable and engaging. Sophia was easy to talk to, curious about his sketches, genuinely interested in his passion for architecture, asking thoughtful questions that showed she was truly listening rather than simply being polite. "These are really impressive," Sophia said, glancing at his notebook filled with detailed building designs. "Did you design all of these yourself?" "Most of them," Ryan admitted, slightly embarrassed, but pleased by her genuine interest. "I've always loved creating things, imagining how spaces could look and feel different from what people expect." "That's wonderful," Sophia said sincerely. "It's rare to meet someone so passionate about their work." They continued talking for nearly an hour, the conversation flowing naturally between topics, laughter mixing easily with genuine curiosity about each other's lives. Ryan found himself unusually comfortable around her, something about her warmth and honesty making their conversation feel effortless. What Ryan did not know, and what Sophia carefully avoided mentioning, was that her real name was not simply Sophia, at least not entirely. She was Sophia Moretti, the only daughter of Vincent Moretti, a name whispered carefully throughout the city's underground world, a man feared and respected as the head of one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the region. Sophia had spent her entire life surrounded by wealth, danger, and constant protection, rarely given the freedom to simply exist as an ordinary young woman. Today, she had slipped away from her usual bodyguards, craving a small taste of normal life, something she rarely experienced given her father's overwhelming influence and constant watchfulness. As their conversation continued, Sophia found herself genuinely enjoying Ryan's company, appreciating how refreshingly normal and honest he seemed compared to the carefully calculated relationships she usually experienced within her father's world. "Can I ask you something?" Ryan said eventually, curiosity getting the better of him. "You mentioned you're new to this neighborhood. What brought you here?" Sophia hesitated slightly before answering carefully. "My family recently moved for business reasons. I'm still getting used to everything, honestly." "Well, I hope you enjoy it here," Ryan said sincerely, unaware of how carefully she had chosen her words to avoid revealing the true nature of her family's business. As their pleasant afternoon continued, neither of them noticed a black car parked quietly across the street, watching carefully from a discreet distance. Inside sat two of Vincent Moretti's most trusted men, tasked with the important, unspoken responsibility of ensuring his daughter's safety, even during her rare, secretive outings into the ordinary world she so desperately craved. Eventually, As the afternoon sun began to lower slightly outside the coffee shop windows, Sophia glanced at her phone and sighed softly. I should probably get going soon. Of course, Ryan said, feeling an unexpected disappointment at the idea of their pleasant conversation ending. It was really nice meeting you, Sophia. It was nice meeting you too, Ryan, Sophia replied warmly, standing up from her chair. I hope we run into each other again sometime. I'd like that, Ryan said honestly, watching as she gathered her things. As Sophia walked toward the coffee shop's exit, she glanced back briefly, offering him one final, genuine smile before stepping outside. Ryan watched her leave, completely unaware of the black car waiting discreetly across the street, or the powerful, dangerous world she was quietly returning to. He had no idea that this simple, pleasant afternoon conversation had just placed him on the radar of people far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. Ryan could not stop thinking about Sophia for the rest of the week. There was something genuinely refreshing about their conversation, a simplicity and honesty he rarely experienced in his usual busy routine. He found himself returning to the same coffee shop every afternoon, quietly hoping to run into her again, though he told himself he was simply enjoying his usual coffee break. Sophia, meanwhile, faced a very different kind of week. Returning home that afternoon, she had barely stepped through the front door of her family's heavily guarded estate before her father's assistant informed her that Vincent wanted to see her immediately. As Sophia walked toward the coffee shop's exit, she glanced back briefly, offering him one final, genuine smile before stepping outside. Ryan watched her leave, completely unaware of the black car waiting discreetly across the street, or the powerful, dangerous world she was quietly returning to. He had no idea that this simple, pleasant afternoon conversation had just placed him on the radar of people far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. Ryan could not stop thinking about Sophia for the rest of the week. There was something genuinely refreshing about their conversation, a simplicity and honesty he rarely experienced in his usual busy routine. He found himself returning to the same coffee shop every afternoon, quietly hoping to run into her again, though he told himself he was simply enjoying his usual coffee break. Sophia, meanwhile, faced a very different kind of week. Returning home that afternoon, she had barely stepped through the front door of her family's heavily guarded estate before her father's assistant informed her that Vincent wanted to see her immediately. She walked into her father's private study, finding him seated behind his large desk, his expression calm but clearly expectant. Vincent Moretti was a tall, composed man in his 50s, his presence commanding respect and fear from everyone who crossed his path, except, perhaps, his only daughter. You left without your security detail again, Vincent said, not looking up immediately from the documents in front of him. I just wanted a normal afternoon, Dad, Sophia replied, sitting down across from him. Is that too much to ask? Vincent finally looked up, his sharp eyes studying her carefully. You know it's not that simple, Sophia. Our family has enemies who would love nothing more than to use you against me. I understand the risks, Sophia said patiently, having had this exact conversation many times before. But I can't live my entire life locked away behind these walls, surrounded by bodyguards every single moment. Vincent sighed, clearly torn between his protective instincts and his understanding of his daughter's need for independence. Just be careful, please. I will, Sophia promised, though she carefully avoided mentioning the pleasant conversation she had shared with a stranger named Ryan, unsure why she felt hesitant to reveal even that small detail to her father. Meanwhile, unknown to both Sophia and Ryan, their brief meeting had not gone entirely unnoticed. One of Vincent's men, tasked with discreetly watching Sophia during her outing, had reported the encounter to a higher-ranking member of the organization, a man named Tony Russo, who harbored his own secret ambitions within Vincent's criminal empire. Tony had spent years quietly positioning himself for greater power within the organization, frustrated by how tightly Vincent controlled every aspect of the business. When he learned that Sophia had spent an entire afternoon in genuine, friendly conversation with an ordinary, unconnected man, an idea began forming in his calculating mind. If he could somehow use this unexpected connection to his advantage, perhaps by manipulating the situation or gathering information that could weaken Vincent's control. It might create an opportunity for Tony to advance his own ambitions within the organization. Days later, Ryan finally saw Sophia again, sitting at their usual coffee shop table, seemingly waiting for someone. His face lit up with genuine happiness as he approached her. "Sophia, I was hoping I'd run into you again," he said, sitting down across from her. "Ryan." She smiled warmly, clearly pleased to see him as well. "I was actually hoping the same thing." Their conversation quickly fell back into the same comfortable, easy rhythm from their first meeting, both of them genuinely enjoying each other's company, without the complications and danger surrounding Sophia's real identity. As their friendship gradually grew over the following weeks, meeting regularly at the coffee shop, sometimes taking quiet walks through nearby parks, Ryan found himself developing genuine feelings for Sophia, completely unaware of the dangerous world she truly belonged to. Sophia, too, found herself increasingly drawn to Ryan's genuine kindness and simplicity, a stark contrast to the calculated, often dangerous relationships she typically experienced within her father's world. For the first time in years, she felt like an ordinary young woman, free from the constant weight of her family's dangerous reputation. However, Tony Russo continued watching their growing relationship carefully from a distance, patiently waiting for the perfect opportunity to use this unexpected connection for his own dangerous ambitions. One evening, as Ryan walked Sophia partway home after their usual coffee shop meeting, unaware she lived somewhere far more guarded and dangerous than she had led him to believe, Tony made his move. He approached Ryan directly outside a quiet street corner, catching him completely off guard. "Ryan Cooper," Tony said, his tone deceptively friendly. "Yes," Ryan replied cautiously, immediately sensing something unusual about the stranger's sudden appearance. "I think you should know exactly who your new friend really is," Tony said with a calculated smile. "Sophia isn't just some ordinary woman you met at a coffee shop." Ryan's confusion deepened. "What are you talking about?" Tony leaned in slightly, lowering his voice deliberately. "Her real name is Sophia Moretti. Her father is Vincent Moretti, one of the most dangerous men in this entire city. And trust me, getting close to her is far more dangerous than you could possibly imagine." Ryan's entire body went cold with shock, his mind racing rapidly to process this unexpected and unsettling information. "That's not possible. She's just Sophia." "Believe what you want," Tony said calmly, already turning to leave. "But you should think very carefully about how deeply you want to involve yourself in her world before it's too late to walk away safely." As Tony disappeared into the shadows, Ryan stood frozen on the sidewalk, his mind spinning with confusion, fear, and disbelief. Everything he thought he knew about Sophia suddenly felt uncertain. Dangerous secrets hiding beneath every friendly smile and genuine conversation they had shared. He had no idea that Tony's warning was only the very beginning of the danger about to enter his simple, ordinary life. Ryan barely slept that night, Tony's warning replaying repeatedly in his mind. He kept trying to convince himself it was some kind of mistake, that Sophia could not possibly be connected to something as dangerous as what the stranger had described. But deep down, uncomfortable pieces began fitting together. The mysterious black car he sometimes noticed nearby, Sophia's occasional vague answers about her family, her careful avoidance of certain personal questions. The next afternoon, Ryan arrived at the coffee shop earlier than usual, his mind still racing with unanswered questions. When Sophia arrived shortly after, her warm smile immediately faltered slightly upon noticing his unusually tense expression. "Ryan, is everything okay?" she asked, sitting down across from him. Ryan hesitated, unsure exactly how to approach the situation. "Sophia, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Sophia's expression grew cautious, sensing the sudden shift in his usually relaxed demeanor. "Okay, what is it? Is your last name really Moretti?" Ryan asked directly, watching her reaction carefully. Sophia's face paled instantly, her carefully maintained composure crumbling under the direct question. "How do you know that name?" "So it's true," Ryan said quietly, disappointment and confusion mixing painfully in his voice. "Your father is Vincent Moretti." Sophia's eyes filled with a mixture of fear and regret. Ryan, please, let me explain. Explain what exactly? Ryan asked, his voice rising slightly despite his attempt to remain calm. That you've been lying to me this entire time. That every conversation we've had has been based on secrets you deliberately hid from me. I never lied about who I am as a person, Sophia said quickly, desperation creeping into her voice. I just didn't tell you about my family's business because I wanted, just once, to be seen as a normal person, not as someone's dangerous daughter. Ryan ran his hands through his hair, overwhelmed by the sudden weight of everything happening around him. Sophia, your father is one of the most dangerous men in this entire city. Do you understand what kind of danger I could be in just for knowing you? I know, Sophia admitted, tears beginning to form in her eyes. That's exactly why I was scared to tell you the truth. I didn't want this, any of this, to happen. Before their tense conversation could continue further, Ryan's phone suddenly buzzed with an unknown number. Confused, he answered cautiously. Hello, Ryan Cooper. An unfamiliar voice said calmly on the other end. I believe we should speak in person regarding your recent friendship with Miss Moretti. Ryan's blood ran cold. Who is this? My name is Vincent Moretti, the voice said simply. I think it's time we properly discussed your relationship with my daughter. Ryan's hand tightened around his phone, his eyes meeting Sophia's frightened gaze from across the table. How did you get this number? I make it my business to know everything important happening around my daughter, Vincent replied calmly, though an unmistakable edge of danger lingered beneath his composed tone. I'll send a car for you within the hour. I suggest you come willingly. Before Ryan could respond further, the call ended abruptly. He stared at his phone in stunned disbelief before looking back up at Sophia, whose face had turned completely pale with worry. He knows, Sophia whispered anxiously. He knows about us. What happens now? Ryan asked, his voice filled with genuine fear. I don't know, Sophia admitted honestly. But whatever happens, please, let me come with you. I won't let my father hurt you because of me. Exactly 1 hour later, a sleek black car arrived outside the coffee shop, exactly as Vincent had promised. Ryan and Sophia climbed inside together, both nervously silent during the tense ride toward what Ryan assumed would be a dangerous, possibly life-threatening confrontation. They arrived at an impressive estate on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by high walls and visible security. Sophia led Ryan inside confidently, though her nervous energy remained evident beneath her calm exterior. They were quickly escorted into Vincent's private study, where he sat waiting behind his large desk, his expression unreadable. Mr. Cooper, Vincent said calmly, gesturing toward the empty chair across from him. Please sit. Ryan sat down cautiously, his heart pounding rapidly beneath his outwardly composed exterior. Sophia remained standing protectively near him, clearly prepared to defend their unexpected relationship if necessary. I understand you've been spending considerable time with my daughter recently, Vincent said, studying Ryan carefully, without any knowledge of who she truly is, or the dangers associated with our family. Yes, sir, Ryan admitted honestly, deciding complete honesty was his safest option in this dangerous situation. I had no idea, until very recently. But I want you to know, my feelings for Sophia are genuine, regardless of her family's reputation. Vincent's expression remained carefully neutral, though something briefly flickered behind his sharp eyes. Feelings are dangerous things, Mr. Cooper, especially within a world like mine. Dad, please, Sophia interrupted firmly, stepping forward. Ryan didn't ask for any of this. He's innocent in all of this. Vincent studied his daughter carefully, clearly recognizing the genuine concern and affection in her voice, something he rarely witnessed, given her usual careful composure. He then turned his attention back toward Ryan, his expression thoughtful and calculating. Very well, Vincent finally said. Since you now know the truth about my daughter, you have exactly 2 choices, Mr. Cooper. Walk away completely, forgetting this relationship ever existed, and live your simple, safe life exactly as you did before. Or continue this relationship fully aware of the serious dangers and responsibilities that come with being connected to my family. Ryan glanced briefly at Sophia, seeing genuine hope and fear mixed together in her worried expression, before turning back to face Vincent directly. "I need time to think," Ryan admitted honestly. "This is a lot to process." Vincent nodded understandingly, though his expression remained serious. "Take the time you need, Mr. Cooper. But understand clearly, whatever you decide, there's no room left for half measures in my world." As Ryan left the estate that evening, his mind racing with impossible choices, he had no idea that someone else within Vincent's organization had already begun planning to use this dangerous situation for their own ambitious, deadly purposes. Ryan spent the next 2 days in quiet turmoil, wrestling with the impossible decision Vincent had presented him. His ordinary, peaceful life stood on one side, safe but suddenly feeling empty without Sophia's presence. On the other side stood genuine feelings for a woman connected to a dangerous world he barely understood, a world that could easily consume everything familiar and safe about his simple existence. He visited his small architecture office as usual, attempting to focus on his work, but his mind constantly drifted back to Sophia's worried expression as he left the estate. Finally, on the evening of the second day, Ryan made his decision. He arrived at the coffee shop, finding Sophia already waiting nervously at their usual table, her anxious eyes lighting up slightly the moment she saw him approaching. "You came," she said softly, relief evident in her voice. "I told you I needed time to think," Ryan said, sitting down across from her. "And I have." Sophia held her breath anxiously. "And what did you decide?" "I decided that walking away from you would be far more difficult than facing whatever danger comes with staying," Ryan said honestly. "I care about you, Sophia. Not about your family's reputation. Not about the danger surrounding your world. Just about you." Tears of relief and happiness filled Sophia's eyes as she reached across the table, gently taking his hand. "Thank you, Ryan. I promise I'll do everything I can to keep you safe." Unbeknownst to both of them, Tony Russo had continued watching their relationship carefully, his patience finally paying off as he learned of Ryan's decision through one of his informants within Vincent's organization. This was exactly the opportunity Tony had been waiting for. Tony understood that Vincent's protective nature toward his daughter created a significant vulnerability, one he could potentially exploit to weaken Vincent's authority within the organization or possibly even eliminate him entirely, clearing Tony's path towards seizing control himself. That same evening, Tony met secretly with a small group of loyal followers within an abandoned building on the outskirts of the city, carefully outlining his dangerous plan. "Vincent has grown weak, allowing his daughter's romantic distractions to compromise his usual careful judgment," Tony explained coldly. "If we act now, using this situation to our advantage, we can finally take control of this organization." "What exactly do you have in mind?" one of his followers asked cautiously. "We use the girl and her new romantic interest as leverage," Tony explained calmly. "If we can capture them both, Vincent will have no choice but to comply with whatever demands we present, weakening his position permanently within the organization." Meanwhile, Ryan and Sophia continued spending time together, gradually growing closer despite the underlying danger surrounding their relationship. Vincent, though still cautious, began allowing Ryan limited access into Sophia's world, carefully observing the genuine care and respect Ryan consistently showed his daughter. One evening, as Ryan walked Sophia home from a quiet dinner, unaware they were being carefully watched from a distance, Tony's men made their move. 2 vehicles suddenly blocked their path, several armed men emerging quickly, catching them both completely off guard. "Sophia, run!" Ryan shouted urgently, positioning himself protectively in front of her. But before either of them could react further, they were quickly overwhelmed, forced into a waiting vehicle despite their desperate struggles. Within moments, they were speeding away toward an unknown location, both terrified and confused about what was happening. Back at Vincent's estate, panic spread quickly once security reported Sophia's sudden disappearance. Vincent's expression turned cold and dangerous as he processed the alarming news. "Find her immediately," he ordered his men firmly, his usual calm composure replaced entirely by fierce, protective anger. "I want every available resource searching the city right now." As Vincent's organization mobilized quickly, searching desperately for any sign of Sophia and Ryan, Tony's men transported their captives to a secluded warehouse, tying them securely, while Tony himself finally revealed his true intentions. "I apologize for the inconvenience," Tony said coldly, stepping into view. "But your father's weakness has created quite an opportunity for me." "Tony," Sophia said, recognizing him immediately, her voice filled with disbelief and anger. "You're doing this, betraying my father after everything he's done for you." "Your father's control over this organization has grown outdated," Tony replied calmly. "It's time for new leadership, and you, unfortunately, have become the perfect leverage to make that happen." Ryan struggled against his restraints, anger and fear mixing dangerously within him. "Let her go. She has nothing to do with your ambitions." Tony laughed coldly. "On the contrary, she has everything to do with it. Vincent will do anything to ensure his daughter's safety, including stepping aside quietly and allowing me to take control." As Tony explained his dangerous plan further, neither he nor his men noticed one of Vincent's most loyal informants secretly witnessing the entire situation from a hidden vantage point outside the warehouse, quickly relaying crucial information back to Vincent's search team. Within the hour, Vincent received the urgent update he had been anxiously waiting for. "Sir, we've located them. Tony's men are holding Sophia and Ryan at the old warehouse near the docks." Vincent's expression hardened instantly into fierce determination. "Gather every available man immediately. Tony has made a fatal mistake tonight, one he will deeply regret." As Vincent and his men prepared quickly for a dangerous rescue mission, back at the warehouse, Sophia and Ryan exchanged worried glances, both silently hoping desperately that help would arrive before Tony's dangerous plan could fully unfold. The warehouse remained tense and silent, Sophia and Ryan sitting tied together, both anxiously watching Tony pace confidently nearby, clearly satisfied with how his dangerous plan had unfolded so far. "Your father should be arriving soon," Tony said calmly, checking his watch. "I'm curious to see just how far he's willing to compromise his authority to keep his precious daughter safe." "You're making a serious mistake, Tony," Sophia warned firmly, despite her restrained position. "My father won't simply hand over control of his organization. You're underestimating him." Tony smiled coldly. "We'll see about that." Outside the warehouse, Vincent's forces moved carefully and strategically into position, surrounding the building from multiple angles under the cover of darkness. Vincent himself, though visibly tense with worry for his daughter's safety, maintained his usual calculated composure, understanding clearly that a hasty, emotional response could easily endanger Sophia and Ryan further. "Sir," one of his men whispered quietly, "we're in position, awaiting your signal." Vincent nodded firmly, moving quietly. "I want this handled with minimal risk to Sophia and Ryan." Inside the warehouse, Tony's phone suddenly rang, interrupting his confident anticipation. He answered quickly, his expression shifting from calm confidence to concern as he listened to the urgent voice on the other end. "Sir, we've spotted movement outside the warehouse. It looks like Vincent's men have already surrounded the building." Tony's jaw tightened, his earlier confidence faltering slightly. "That's impossible. How did he find us so quickly?" Before Tony could fully process this unexpected development, the warehouse doors suddenly burst open, Vincent's men moving swiftly and efficiently into the building, quickly overwhelming Tony's surprised followers before they could properly react. Tony, realizing his carefully planned scheme was rapidly falling apart, pulled out a weapon in desperation, grabbing Sophia roughly and positioning her in front of him as a shield. "Stay back," Tony shouted nervously, his composure completely shattered. "Nobody move, or she gets hurt." Vincent stepped forward calmly, his expression cold and dangerous, though his eyes remained carefully focused on ensuring his daughter's safety. "Tony, this ends now. Let her go, and perhaps I'll consider showing you mercy." "Mercy?" Tony laughed nervously, though fear was clearly evident beneath his forced bravado. "You'll kill me the moment I release her." "You made your choice the moment you decided to betray this family," Vincent replied firmly, taking a slow, deliberate step closer. "But harming my daughter further will only guarantee your suffering." As tension filled the room, Ryan, still partially restrained nearby, noticed Tony's grip on Sophia loosening slightly as his attention remained fixated on Vincent. Seizing the brief opportunity, Ryan quickly freed himself enough to tackle Tony from behind, catching him completely off guard. The sudden distraction allowed Sophia to break free from Tony's grip, quickly moving safely toward her father's protective embrace, while Vincent's men swiftly subdued Tony, ending the dangerous confrontation entirely. "Are you all right?" Vincent asked urgently, checking his daughter carefully for any injuries. "I'm okay, Dad," Sophia reassured him, relief flooding through her voice. "Thanks to Ryan." Vincent turned his attention toward Ryan, who stood slightly disheveled but unharmed nearby, having just risked his own safety to protect Sophia. For the first time since their initial confrontation, genuine respect and gratitude replaced the usual caution in Vincent's expression. "You risked your life for my daughter tonight," Vincent said seriously, studying Ryan carefully. "I couldn't just stand by and let something happen to her," Ryan replied honestly, still slightly breathless from the intense confrontation. "She means too much to me." Vincent nodded slowly, clearly reevaluating his initial hesitation about Ryan's involvement in his daughter's life. "It seems I underestimated your courage, Mr. Cooper." As Tony was taken into custody, his dangerous betrayal now fully exposed, Vincent's organization quickly began restoring order, ensuring no further threats remained from Tony's small group of followers. In the weeks that followed, life slowly returned to a new sense of normalcy. With Tony's betrayal completely dealt with, Vincent's authority within his organization remained secure and undisputed, his position stronger than ever. Ryan and Sophia's relationship, having survived such intense danger and uncertainty, grew stronger and more genuine, no longer burdened by hidden secrets or unspoken fears. Vincent, though still protective of his daughter, gradually welcomed Ryan more fully into their world, recognizing the genuine care and bravery he had consistently shown throughout their dangerous ordeal. One quiet evening, several weeks later, Ryan and Sophia sat together at their familiar coffee shop table, exactly where their unexpected journey had first begun. "It's strange," Sophia said thoughtfully, smiling softly at Ryan. "If I hadn't simply asked to sit at your table that first day, none of this would have ever happened." Ryan smiled warmly, reaching across the table to gently hold her hand. "I'm glad you did. Despite everything that happened, I wouldn't change a single moment of it." Sophia studied him carefully, genuine happiness and love evident in her expression. "Even knowing everything now, the danger, my family's reputation, you still choose to stay?" "Especially knowing everything now," Ryan replied sincerely, "because now I understand exactly what I almost lost, and exactly how much you truly mean to me." As they sat together, hands intertwined, in the same coffee shop where their extraordinary journey had first begun, both Ryan and Sophia understood clearly that despite the danger, deception, and difficult choices they had faced together, their unexpected connection, born from one simple, genuine smile, had become something truly unbreakable.